Wadi, let me ask you a question. Can you lead and empower your team to become big picture thinkers? Can you help them to get outside the box, to think of new ideas, better ideas? You know, we go through life and we're following these patterns, and those patterns become your routines. And have you ever noticed that your routines are so much a part of your normal everyday life that you don't even realize it's a routine? Because it's a routine, what happens is you overlook opportunities and you miss warning signs. And it's because you have your eyes not on the target, but on the routines. And it happens to all of us. When I was a psychology major, I learned of this story. It's about 5 monkeys and a banana, so I brought Wadi with me today to help us go through that. 5 monkeys were put into a room. There was a ladder in the center of the room. There was a banana hanging from the ceiling. Well, one of those monkeys tried to go up that ladder to get the banana, and when he did, the researchers showered him with icy cold water. A couple of the other monkeys tried, and every time they'd go up that ladder to get that banana, the researchers would just shower them with icy cold water. After a little bit, they just quit trying. So the researchers took out one of the original monkeys and brought in a new little guy. He sees that banana, decides to go for it, and the other monkeys run over, grab him, and pull him back, and they keep him from going up the ladder. He tries a few more times, but every time he gets pulled back, he quits trying. The researchers take out a second of the original monkeys, bring in another guy. Now, when that guy goes to climb the ladder to get the banana, all the monkeys run up there and grab him and pull him back, including that little guy that had never been showered down with the icy cold water. By the end of the experiment, all of the 5 original monkeys had been removed. All new monkeys were in the room. Yet whenever the researchers would introduce another little new guy into the mix, and he would try to climb that ladder to get the banana, all the monkeys would run over there and pull him back. Now, none of these monkeys had ever been drenched in that icy cold water. They had no idea why they were stopping their friends from getting the banana. It's just the way we do it here. And have you found that in your organization? At one time, there's rules that are introduced, there's policies, there's procedures, and they had a reason for being introduced when they were introduced. Yet time goes by, and we have no idea why those policies and procedures and rules are there, but we're still following them because that's what we do here. And then you come along. You're the leader. You're trying to be the change agent. You're wanting them to think big, get outside the box. And you're met with this resistance, and you're wondering, why is it that this change is so difficult? Why do we keep doing things the way we've always done them? And when you look at the reality of it, when you're going through change, change is inevitable, but growth is optional. There's some statistics out there that are really upsetting for you as a leader, I'm sure. 50% of the people on your work team have no desire to get any better, to learn any new skill sets. 4 out of 10 people can't get along well with their coworkers. And you know exactly who I'm talking about, don't you? Because their face just popped in your head. And over 70% of the change initiatives that you try and put into place go undone. They don't reach their desired outcome. And it's because of the inability to communicate effectively, to get along well with others, and the lack of leadership being able to lead through that change. But why is change so difficult? I think it boils all down to funk. Let's do this. If I was to draw a box, and then you'd step into that box, that's you, that's your life. It's everything you know, everything you've experienced, everything you've learned, everything you've felt up until this point. Whenever you want to do something different, you want to create a new idea, you want something to be better, you have to get outside that box, because that's everything you've done so far. The challenge is when you try to start getting out of the box, you run into what I call funk. Everybody has funk. Funk is fear, uncertainty, negativity, and the know-it-alls. So you're in that box, you're wanting to do something new, you're trying to get outside of it, but you run into that fear. The fear of, well, what if I fail? And what are they going to say about me if I do fail? And what repercussions might there be if I fail? Then there's that uncertainty. Well, you think your idea is probably a better idea, but you don't really know for sure. So when you try to think about implementing it, maybe it's safer to just stay right where you are. There's the negativity thoughts that run through your head like, gosh, do I really have what this takes? Does my team have what it takes? And then there's the know-it-alls. You know them, don't you? They're always the one to jump up and tell you, well, I don't think that'll work. Management will never go for this. We don't have the money for that. That's not the way we do it here. So here you are, trying to implement change, trying to get people to do things differently, and you're running into their funk. As the change agent, it's important for you to understand that everybody has funk. I call it funk in your trunk. Now, some people have learned how to unpack some of their funk, and so they're just driving those little tiny smart cars. Other people, they pull this whole 18-wheel tractor trailer of funk with them everywhere they go. And no matter how pulled together someone looks, how confident, how wonderful their life seems, they got funk. Now, do you have any of those perfect friends? They have like the perfect house, perfect spouse, perfect kids, perfect pets. They take perfect vacations. And then they send you the Christmas letter to tell you about the perfect they just had. And have you ever read one of those letters and you're thinking, oh my gosh, we are such losers. Look at this family. They're perfect. But do you think that there might be a little bit of funk going on there if you have to write me a Christmas letter to tell me how perfect you are? So the best thing to do as a change agent is realize that when you're trying to implement change, you're going to be met with resistance. And it's usually not about you or your idea. It's about people's funk. So it's just best to get transparent about it. Could you look at the person sitting next to you and say, yeah, I got some funk. Yeah. Go ahead. Tell the person sitting next to you, yeah, I got some funk. All right, now put a big smile on your face and look at them and say, yeah, but I know you got funk too. Yeah, you got funk too. So when you're trying to get your team to become that winning work team, you got to help them get through that funk. There's 3 pitfalls that I want you to avoid as you're doing it. This will help you to break through the funk. The first pitfall is trying to solve today's problems with yesterday's solutions. Yesterday's solutions got you here. They won't get you there. If you've got new problems to solve, you've got to figure out new ways to solve them. The second pitfall is to view mistakes as failures. When you're in that box and you try something new, chances are it's not going to work right the first time. If every mistake is viewed as a failure, how willing will your team be to try and break through that funk? And then the last one is an intolerance for risk. Change is scary for all of us. That funk starts rearing its head, and if we're going to do something new, it involves a risk. So when you're working with your work team, if you can help them to understand exactly what you're looking for. Have you found that sometimes you just got to help people by connecting the dots for them? You think it's obvious and they're not getting it. So it helps if you can really show them what's the objective you're trying to achieve. What is it you really want from them? Let me show you this to you. It'll be easier if I show you. Can you go ahead and stand to your feet for just a minute? Go ahead and stand up. I want you to go ahead and stick your right arm out in front of you like this. Okay, pretend your body is the compass and your arm is the needle of the compass. Now, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. And with no one looking around, I want you to turn and point in the direction of true north. No one looking around. Okay, you're doing good. Okay, try not to peek. Very good. Excellent. Now I want you to imagine this is the team of people that you're leading, trying to get them to break through their funk, and look around you. Look around now. Are you in a little bit of trouble or what? But isn't that how it goes? We're going north. Okay, well, where is that? Well, I don't know, but we'll stay in touch. We'll figure it out. Hope you make it. Now, everybody see that exit sign in the back there? Do you see that? Okay, go ahead and point to that exit sign. Let us say that that is north. Now, look around you. Now, you've worked with some of us before. It takes us a little bit longer to get there than others, but at least we're all going in the same direction. Good job. You can sit down. When you're looking at why it's so important for you as the leader to be able to help people to connect those dots, it's because in this box, this is the stuff we already know. In today's marketplace, we want to be able to think better. What got us here won't get us there. Outside the box, that's where all the magic happens. That's where we do have increased customer satisfaction and increased productivity and decreased downtime and decreased turnover. So if we're not getting the results we want here, if our team's not getting what we need yet, then we've got to get outside there because that's where magic happens. Now, would it be helpful if you had a simple process that you could use with your team to help walk them through how do we decide where the north is? Does everybody have a clear picture of that? Are we all on the same page? Let me go ahead and give you those 6 steps. The first one is to ask yourself, where are you now? You ever been driving along, you get lost? That Garmin's saying, recalculating, recalculating. And you can't figure out where you are, so you call a friend and you say, I'm lost, I can't figure out, I can't get there. What's the very first question they ask you? Where are you? Because they can't tell you how to get there if they don't know where you are. So that's the first thing you always got to know is, where are you now? Second question is, where do you want to go? Where is your north? Because what happens is, as you're deciding what's the best next move for you, you'll have lots of opportunities that come up. But some of them may be taking you in this direction, some may be taking you in that direction. So you really want to know where that north is. The third question you want to ask is, how will we get there? What will be the best course for us to map out so we avoid the roadblocks and don't run into traffic jams? Are there alternative routes we could take? The fourth is, how will you know when you're there? Because if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So you want to have some kind of criteria that your team will know that we're there. Otherwise, they'll be asking you those questions like, well, are we there yet? Are we having fun yet? Is this what we said success would look like? So you want to make sure you know how you're going to measure it. The last two go together. The fifth question is, what will it cost? What will it cost you in time, in money, in resources, in relationships? And the last one is, what will it cost if you don't? Most times when people are evaluating a decision, they evaluate it based on the price. Very seldom do they look at it based on the cost of what it will be to them if they don't get outside that box and try something new. But here's the reality of trying something new. There's always a risk. There's always a risk. There's a gap between where you are and where you want to be. And that gap is always the risk you haven't taken yet. But to get outside that box and do something new, that risk, how do you even know if it's worth it or not? Taking risks is scary. Thinking better is hard work. It's not going to make you popular. You go to a time management seminar and you learn a way that you can increase productivity by 20%. You're very excited. You go back to your work team and you say, I learned a way we can increase our productivity by 20%. What did they hear? They're just going to make me work harder. Well, I don't want to increase my productivity by 20%. You're just going to add more work on me. I think I'll just stay in the box and do it the way I've always done it. Why would I want to change? And so when you're wanting your team to take that risk, we have to be able to connect those dots for them to help them to understand. When you hire me to come in and work with your organization, I'll show you that your ability to think different is the most significant competitive edge that you and your company can claim. Thinking better is what it's all about. If I were to ask you, when you go to work in the morning, do you give your company the best that you've got? I mean, I know some days you miss it a little bit. You're not 100% every single day. But for the most part, when you go to work in the morning, you give your company the best that you've got. If you agree with that statement, I want you to raise your hand as high as you can. Okay, now raise your hand a little higher. Okay, wait a minute. Didn't I ask you to raise your hand as high as you could the first time? We're always thinking, oh, that's the best I can do. Can't do any better. Well, maybe we can think a little better. Because we don't want to do things. Please, let's not do them because that's the way we've always done it. What we want to be able to do to create that winning work team is to help that team break through that funk, to get outside the box, to reach so that they can accomplish all that needs to be accomplished, to become those big picture thinkers. Because change is inevitable, but growth is optional. Thank you.